So, this is one of these things you have to realize when you've got nice, big, healthy, mature raspberry plants, but the variety this just does not work for my zone. I've tried everything I can think of. I've done a lot of reading. I've, consulted experts, all that sort of stuff. This variety just doesn't. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I'm pulling out some raspberries today. I got a variety of raspberry I'm growing, everbearing variety. It's a variety that's supposed to, put out, give you some berries in July. Then it's supposed to give you another bigger crop in the fall, like September sort of thing. But what I've found is that I get a really, abysmal crop in July. And then in the fall, what happens is that the berries form like this, but they really don't ripen. You get the odd kind of ripe one, but they really don't have much flavor. And I would say 80% of them just never ripen because it's frost overnight. The conditions just aren't any good for them ripening. So I mean, the pruning technique you use for these, you're supposed to use, is you prune them, so they grow, they fruit at the tips, and you prune them down about halfway, and they will give you fruit. The half that's left over will give you some fruit the following July, but also the following spring it sends up big new shoots that produce in the fall. So that's what I did the first 3-4 years. I just thought the plants needed to mature, but I mean, they're as mature and as big and as prolific as they're going to be. The fruit just does not come in time for there to be, they don't come ahead of the frost, so it's just not working. Last year I tried this experimental technique I've read about, where you just cut them right down to the ground, so they don't have two yields, they just have one yield. They put all their energy into one yield, and what's supposed to happen with this particular variety is that it all happens about a couple weeks. It moves the whole thing a couple weeks ahead, so you can beat the frost. Didn't work, and we just had about as hot a summer as we've ever had here. I don't think I'm going to get a better summer than that. Still didn't work. So, this is one of these things you have to realize when you've got nice, big, healthy, mature raspberry plants, but the variety this just does not work for my zone. I've tried everything I can think of. I've done a lot of reading. I've, consulted experts, all that sort of stuff. This variety just doesn't work here. I need a July-bearing raspberry for this zone. I need it. Just that type of raspberry. There's wild ones growing in the area, just a handful of them. They're all July bearing. They all put out fruit, and the fruit tastes great. So I need a July bearing cultivar here in my garden. So these have to come out. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that in general. So that's just something that happens as a gardener, and you have to not waste any more time when it does. So you get a pair of gloves and you pull them out. Luckily, because I've got a no-till garden, it's not, getting raspberries out of a garden are, is a bit of a chore because they have such, tenacious, well-developed roots. I suppose if I was very enterprising, I could find someone on Kijiji or, Facebook Marketplace who wants these and sell them. Because I imagine these could be planted right around now and they'd probably produce something. Holy smokes. So yeah, this is probably not all going to be done in one day because it's kind of hard work. Oh, and probably these wimpy gloves are not going to cut it. Probably wore the wrong gloves. I thought they'd be good for gripping them, which they are, but I can still feel the spines on these stems pretty good. This is why I like to do a lot of my gardening work in the fall. It's a bit cooler. There's no blood-sucking insects worrying about your head. Look how easily that came out. Raspberry has a tenacious root that, if you leave any root in there, you get another raspberry plant. And, I'm going to do my best to get them this year, but I'm probably not going to get them all, despite my best efforts. That's just the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, there's there's 2 square feet. The soil here is lovely, so I'll probably plant potatoes or something like that here. I like planting crops like that at the edge of the garden. Might plant some Jerusalem artichokes. That's another good one to plant at the edge of a garden. You know, this part of the garden, there's like all kinds of wild weeds that tend to try to migrate into the garden from the side. So I like to plant something I can dig up. Not every year, but you know, things like that. So that way you can get those weeds out of the ground each year. But yeah, this is the process I got to do. Wish my kids were a bit older. This is, you know, kind of physical work of a physical nature. But my kids aren't, still not big enough and strong enough for this sort of thing, and I think the thorns are likely to put them off being in the garden. Probably a disincentive. So anyway, thought I'd just talk you through that process, explain what I'm doing here, and give you a sense of what goes into this. I'm going to leave the camera on for about 10 minutes, and let's see how much it might be 5. I mean, really, I'm going to leave it on until my wife gets home. So I'm going to try for 10 minutes and just see how much, you know, I've done about, just while I was talking to you, I did about 3 feet of garden. Let's see how much I can get done in 10 minutes, just to hammer in the point that it's just not worth getting overwhelmed at tasks like this. You just, you know, set your shoulder to the yoke and get at it. And these things get done. If I don't get it all done today, I'll finish it tomorrow or the next day. Oh my goodness. So I don't know how long that was, and I don't know if I had the camera angle right to capture everything I was doing. But I've got about, I think I just did about 12 feet. And I'm out of breath and sucking wind, and I'm starting to get that feeling of tightness in my lower back that's telling me, you know, I could probably do another 5 minutes, but it's just time to think about stopping. You know, you may be surprised, people that watch my gardening videos, I look like a pretty reasonably good shape guy, but you know, I don't kill myself out here. I mean, I'll come out after work and do something, you know, this is about as heavy as the work gets out in the garden, pulling pulling bushes out of the ground is hard work. It's backbreaking hard work. I'm trying to use my legs, trying to use my whole body, but it's basically every plant's a deadlift if you've ever lifted weights, which is exhausting. And the older you get, the more careful you have to be with your, your back especially. Hurt your back and you're shut down for days. So I think I'm going to call it quits. It's about time to start getting supper ready anyway. I could use a shower, all that sort of stuff. So hope you found that interesting. Just thought I'd take you out in the garden and show you kind of what I'm doing this time of year and the process I go through and how I go about doing my work. If you're new to gardening or you're thinking about getting your garden bigger, it's not an overwhelming thing to maintain a large garden. Even when you've got a major problem like this to solve. This is basically, so I just did about 1/3 of what I need to do. So 2 more evenings after work, I can come out here after supper for about an hour, and I'll have it done. I can feel a sort of stinginess on my forearms. I should mention that, and some people are more sensitive to this than others. But raspberry canes, especially the spiny ones, they can really irritate your skin. And I have a sensation right now like I was stung by a jellyfish on my forearms. So they're probably going to look pretty impressive, in an hour or so. My wife's going to be, why do you do this to yourself? So probably should have worn a long sleeve shirt, but it's about 15 degrees Celsius and sunny out today, and it's for me, this is hot. So, but yeah, if you're doing something like this with raspberry canes, you should probably have a long sleeve shirt on, something pretty rugged, and leather gloves recommended. So, anyway, I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com, and until next time, get out there, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.